Hi, and welcome to the Psychic Hour, where you can get the answers to your most challenging questions concerning life, love, or the afterlife. Starring Cindi Sansone-Braff, the romance whisperer, a relationship expert with a twist. She talks to the dead to teach you how to live well and love better. Named Best Psychic 6 times by the Long Island Press, she is the author of Grant Me a Higher Love, Why Good People Can't Leave Bad Relationships, and Confessions of a Reluctant Long Island Psychic. Joining her tonight and always is the show's producer and host, Nicole Semidei. Nicole, a talented artist, writer, entrepreneur, and intuitive, shares her unique perspective on the Grant Me a Higher Love philosophy, which is the spiritual foundation of their show. Hi, Nicole. It's so good to see you. I'm Cindi Sansone-Braff, and this is the Psychic Hour with my co-host and producer, Nicole Semidei. We also have a very special guest today.
Yes, we do.
Tina Marie Realmuto. And wait till you hear who this woman is. She is a New York-based actress and playwright. She received her MFA in acting from the prestigious Actors Studio Drama School at Pace University in New York City. She is a proud member of the Actors Equity Association and has performed many lead roles in Long Island theaters, including Annie Sullivan, the Miracle Worker, which you should have seen her in that. She blew my mind. And Anne Frank in The Diary of Anne Frank. Tina graduated magna cum laude from Connecticut College with a BA in theater. Additionally, get a load of this, she was her high school valedictorian. And she has a published play, The Power of Love. It's a play in 3 acts, which is based on a true story of her beloved grandparents' courtship and marriage. That's available on Amazon. Currently, she is an acting teacher and teaches acting classes to students and adults at the Southampton Cultural Center in Southampton, New York. Well, welcome, Tina.
Hello, welcome.
Can you
Thank for
believe
having
this
me.
woman? Now, Tina was so gracious because, I asked her, because she's one of my clients that has read all 3 of my books. Okay. Now, notice that she's valedictorian and magna cum laude. So when this woman reads a book,
So she's dumb, basically, is what you're saying.
yeah, she really reads a book. Now, the ironic part about this is we asked you like a month ago about doing this, and in that time, Grant Me a Higher Love, and this is one of my books, was started in 2004. So we're talking 20 years ago when I began it. Finished in 2008, which is when I met Nicole, who decided she liked Grant Me a Higher Love enough that she wanted to help promote the book, and then became our radio show. 20 years later, you know what I said? I don't know how I did this.
Yeah.
Whatever woman did this book, I'm going to give her credit, and I am not going to look at this and say, what's wrong with it? I'm looking at it and saying, I am amazed that I did that. And it didn't feel like me. It's 20 years since I've really dealt with this book.
That's hard.
It did not feel like I wrote it. So I think Tina Marie agreeing to come on our show has made the synchronicity of this book being made into Audible. Okay, so I'm going to give her that.
I agree. I thought of, and that was the exact word I thought, synchronicity. I thought of this when I saw you put that on Facebook. I said, okay, it's in preparation for our episode. And I thought of you as well. I said, I felt bad you had to do all the legwork, but I said, Spirit wants her to do this.
So anyway, both of you came into my life because of Grant Me a Higher Love at some level. Okay, I knew Tina before as a actress who, as a theater critic, I have reviewed her. So I didn't know her personally, but I knew her at a professional level. And then when her mom passed, who was Tina's best friend, her mother was remarkable. Tina missed her so much and then began to open the spiritual world. Now, Grant Me a Higher Love is a pretty big book. So is there a part that really resonated with you? I see you said the love and fear part, which is the opening step
It's
in the
my
book.
favorite part.
Yes, so
Interesting,
many.
both of you.
Yes, so many. I loved this book so much. And it took me months to read it because I took my time. I did not want to rush through it. I wanted to really fully absorb and process everything you said. And it really spoke to me. It really did. It resonated with me on many levels. And yes, what I love about love and fear, it lays the foundation of conditional fear versus unconditional. Conditional love versus unconditional love,
Unconditional love.
and how conditional love is really fear based, and
Absolutely.
unconditional love is what we strive to have in our lives. So I think when and even in my day-to-day life now, if I react to something or I'm upset about something, I actually stop and think and I pause and I said, is this based on fear? Am I making a decision or a choice based on fear? And then
Absolutely.
and most of the times I said, oh, okay. No, let me make the choice based on love. Let me take the harder path right now, but at the end it'll be more rewarding. So I want to say thank you so much that not only helps in terms of a romantic love perspective and with relationships with other people, but also with a relationship with myself and my own choices.
And it's true that love and fear, there are only two emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There are only two paths in life. The path of fear includes guilt, anxiety, depression, things we do out of, motivated by, I'm guilty. I feel guilty if I don't do it, are all fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
What we do out of love is what God wants us to do. And God always sees to our intention. If our intention is leaving a person because they're not loving us properly, it's not a good relationship. That's a love base. That's loving yourself and loving that person enough to say you have to learn from your behaviors. So love and fear is a pretty awesome thing, but most people walk the path of fear. They live a half life.
Yeah.
It's always they take the easier, harder path. They don't change their life, and the rest of their life is harder because they're living a lie. It's really hard to take the harder, easier path, right, Nicole?
Well, what's ironic about that is that people take that harder path and they believe that they're taking the easier path.
Yeah.
You know, because like nobody, like consciously, nobody is going to want to sit there and say, yeah, you know what, I've got an easy path and I've got a hard path. Let me just take the worst of the two. You know, I don't care how poetic you are, 9 out of 10 people are going to pick, something that's easy.
Easy.
But they fail to realize that the path that they think is easy is actually the harder of the two,
In the long run.
and like I had said that, and I think that a lot of that, and this is going into, where I expanded after reading Grant Me a Higher Love. And I think that a lot of people do that, and a lot of people are very, very fear-based. And I think that it is more of that like imposter syndrome sort of thing where on some level they feel undeserving of love. They
Exactly.
feel undeserving of a higher love, and they question it. So they turn something that's very, very pure and good into something that's not,
Exactly.
and I think that for me, when I, read the book and, the biggest lessons that I carry with me have to do with that imposter syndrome and knowing
Oh, yeah.
that, that insecurity and control and emotional distance and all of those things are my fears that are limiting me from manifesting what I truly, truly want, and, love fosters connection. Love fosters trust. Love fosters emotional security. Those are all very, very good things. But at the same time, love also requires vulnerability. It requires that you grow. And it also requires that you're with somebody that is mutually supporting you. So,
It's a lot.
it's hard to feel vulnerable to somebody. I grew up in a household where if you were vulnerable, that was weak.
Oh, yeah.
So for me to learn how to be vulnerable with another person, I had to go against the grain of everything that I was taught since I was a child. So for me to grow as a person, that means that I have to admit that there's something wrong with me or that there's not enough there and that I have to go beyond what I think I'm capable of. And it's a scary thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not easy. And I
No.
agree with you. A lot of things you just said, Nicole, I agree too. Even though being an actress, you think you're open emotionally and emotionally available. And I did with my training become more emotionally available. I was very stoic and very closed off as a child, I would say. But now with being a professional actress and training and with my career I opened up, but personally once my mom passed that cracked me open because that was the catalyst for my spiritual journey, my awakening, realizing there's something more out there. Cindi knows I was seeking answers. I wanted to know where my mom is. I knew her
And
spirit
how to
still
go
lived
on without her on
Yes.
earth.
And I realized this too. I've been reflecting the last couple months as well, that my identity was so attached to her and being her daughter and being her friend. And our lives were just so interwoven together. So when she passed, it was not just a loss of my mother and my best friend, but I had to rediscover myself and look inward and see, okay, moving forward, what's my path? What's my soul's purpose? What's my life mission? And I've been doing a lot of prayer. I've been doing a lot of reflection, and a lot of answers have come, and I feel like I'm starting on the soul path and journey, and it feels beautiful. It really, you just feel, people said, how do you feel? I go, I'm still myself, but it's this increased awareness. I feel like my heart's been opening, more love coming in, just interacting with other people. I've always been a happy, jovial person, thankfully. I always had that disposition. Yeah, but now, like, just going to the supermarket and people are commenting on my energy. Oh, you have such beautiful energy. And I'm like, thank you. So
And in the year of energy, notice how people are saying they love her energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people never said
Okay.
that. So
Okay, this is really opening up, but what she was talking about is also in Grant Me a Higher Love, being a wounded healer. When you get a hole in your heart so big that it's never going to close, that's when you become compassionate, empathetic. That's when your soul rips open and you have to go higher or you're going to die. You're just going to die of despair and depression. So it's sad that we become better people when our hearts are broken, and in a way that it cannot be ever fully unbroken ever again. So we can either become bitter people, and believe me, life is loss after loss after loss. And if we're going to get bitter after every loss and more bitter, it's going to be a horrible existence. We're going to have to find the love in every situation. And Tina's mom was very careful to bring her love, through me to her daughter, and also letting her know that she had raised a very strong daughter who she gave all the tools to that she could survive on this planet without her mom's physical being. Her mom's soul is always with her. Her mom's guidance is always there. It's her physical body that isn't here. So it's really, if we allow our wounds to make us better. We don't want to be with people who are our wound mates. We talk about that in Grant Me a Higher Love. What they do is talk about their wounds and their childhood traumas, and they bond with that. No, we don't want to be wound mates. We want to not deny our pain. We want to go through the bloody alleyways of our heart and feel the pain so acutely and deeply. And from there, we go higher. It's a complex process, but it makes you seek answers.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you said that's why I'm at peace with my mom's passing. I was never angry at God for taking her. I wasn't. I wish she was still here. I do. Of course, I would want her to be physically with me, but I knew that by her passing, it changed the course of my life. And this is what this is the course my life has to take. And I know she's with me every step of the way. I feel her so much. We are still so connected. I love, Cindi, when you say this phrase in your book that death ends a life, but not a relationship. Love never dies. And
Never.
whenever moments of despair, and I want our viewers and listeners to know, I've had very intense moments of grief and paralyzing grief that you feel like your heart's cut open, really. But what always got me through was knowing that she still exists, that our souls are eternal. Our bodies temporarily house our immortal soul, but our souls live on.
You like the part about agape love and cosmic consciousness. And let me tell you,
I love that.
That is what we are in the year of energy.
I love
Agape love is unconditional love for mankind, for humankind. Okay. And we're supposed to love our humanity and love, unconditionally. And it's not an easy thing. but it will lead us to cosmic consciousness, which is the divine spirit that guides us. And it's really here now on the planet, okay,
I can feel it.
energetically wise.
And Cindi, this is what's so funny. The last couple weeks, this way, it's all synchronistic. We could discuss that term in a moment too, of doing the podcast, because these few weeks I've not only felt the shift within myself, but I've observed it in other people now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see it. I see a difference. We could talk about, the 3D shift to the 5D shift. I feel
Right.
the energetically, just certain
Oh,
people.
yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to witness. And I love agape love and cosmic consciousness. That really, I remember reading about it and not fully understanding it and wanting to incorporate that more into my life. And now these last few months, I really feel like I have been experiencing it, and it's a beautiful sensation and feeling to have.
And I love the way she said she didn't understand it when she was reading it, but she loved it and it intrigued her. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then spirit will show you the truth of what it is. They will reveal. That's how my whole journey's been with spirit. I said, I'm not going to start, reading all this stuff all the time. If you want to show me, and then I'll read about it. But it also works if you read about it, but you don't understand it, spirit will show you the truth of it. Now, even if you don't fully understand something that you're reading, just ask spirit, prove the truth of this or untruth of it to me. If you're reading something that's not truthful, believe me, spirit will let you know within a minute why that's not true. They will always give you 3 examples of why it's correct. So that if you missed the first one, if you didn't quite get the second one, by the third one, you're getting the message. So it's a good way to read and go through life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she also liked the unmasking the shadow self and the distinction between the shadow and the persona. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's heavy stuff.
Very.
Okay. And we have to recognize for good people, like the good stuff is what we're putting in our shadow bag. A lot of, people, the bad stuff is in their shadow bag, their addictions, their meanness, the stuff they don't want people to know. And then their persona is very narcissistic, nice, the prince that becomes the beast people. Okay. But for good people, we have a lot stashed away in our good shadow bag. If you're born into a family that doesn't like art, then you're going to deny that you're an artist
Mm-hmm.
until there's a point in your life when you can pull that out and say, I'm okay. I want to be an artist. And the problem with the good stuff in our shadow bag is when we pull it out, it takes us away from our tribe. We no longer
Cindy's Yumi
resonate with our
showing
tribe.
right now.
Right.
Very profound. Yeah.
Right.
That's why that part spoke to me, Cindi, because
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about this in readings too. The good shadow bag, and yes, I thankfully my family. No one in my family was creative or artistic. I was a black sheep, so it was very Thankfully, my mom, though, my beautiful mom, always supported me from day one. She believed in my talent, my dreams, and my aspirations. So thank you, Mom. But other, not that people deterred, but I was always viewed like, really? Like, oh, she's so smart. She wants to be an actress. I heard that a lot of times. And I'm like, if you're a good actress, you have to be intelligent. You have
Why
to
aren't
be.
you a doctor or a lawyer?
Exactly. And that's why I said if I had the passion and the calling to be a doctor and lawyer, I know I would be a great doctor or a lawyer. But that wasn't in my heart. That wasn't in my soul. And yes, so that was a big reckoning too.
You know what, Tina? I think that you'll enjoy this. If you guys have Apple TV, and if our viewers/listeners have Apple TV, it's only available on Apple TV. It's a movie called Coda.
Oh, I did see that.
Yes, and basically it's about a girl who's the only hearing person in her family, and she loves music, and she's a wonderful vocalist, and she's talented, and she's constantly holding herself back because she doesn't want to leave her family behind. So it's that whole dichotomy of being who you are, what's in which bag at whatever time. And at one point, it's so poignant because at one point, she's tried to explain to her mother that she was a good singer. And her mother, played by Marlee Matlin, was deaf. And she goes, well, if I was blind, would you want to be a painter? What are you messing with that for? I can't hear it. And it was almost, you know, like they were just going through like almost her obligation to be to deny a piece of herself, you know, and that whole concept of unmasking that shadow self. I mean, that is a very, very powerful portion of your transformation. And it's a very
Absolutely.
powerful portion of your self-awareness, you know, and you have to release the, you know, hidden fears. You have to release those, you know, things that are holding you back, no matter where you think those obligations are coming from, you know. And a lot of that does stem from societal conditioning. It
Oh,
stems
yeah.
from social experiences and, you know, and things like that, and family experiences.
Yeah.
So I think that because you you know, connect so much with that, go back and rewatch that movie and you'll see a lot of
Oh, yeah.
points
I
that
really
Cindy brings
I
up.
really enjoyed the movie. I watched it when it came out a couple years ago, and I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very, very profound. But thank you for that perspective. I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah.
Now, I love the way she liked the part surrendering to the power of love. Okay, we all know
Hmm.
commitment phobia is like
Yeah.
off the charts major problem in the world, okay? But even when people are committed, there's a problem because they're not surrendered fully. Surrendering means admitting you don't want life without this person.
Mm.
You want that person in your life no matter what. So a lot of people do not know how to surrender to love. And surrendering also means a higher love is not a choice, it's there. Okay, you can't wish it away and you can't will it away. It's there. But I think surrendering to love is becoming a bigger problem, or as big a problem now as commit, because I see my clients
Mhm.
committed now,
But they're
but
not surrendering.
not surrendering to it. They're still fighting it. They're still trying to keep a space, or, you know, in case something happens to you, I'm going to keep a distance from it.
Mm.
But surrendering to love is an important thing. You know, just saying, this is what I really need and want. And
Yes.
this is what's best for everyone. But, you know, I'm surprised how surrendering, I didn't, 20 years ago when I wrote this, they told me that commitment phobia would be a major problem.
That one.
Why good
And
people can't leave bad relationships. This book came second. I kind of think it should have come first, actually, because sometimes we got to leave the bad before we can get the good one. But this book was finished in 2014, and Spirit was adamant to me that I finish it by 2014. You
Oh.
know, it took me 4 years,
ooh.
but they said because by 2024, we do not want toxic love. And
Oh.
as you know, from 2020 to 2024, people were kind of locked in a foxhole for like at least 2.5 years, 3 years with COVID. And it blew up tremendous numbers of toxic relationships.
Mhm.
Historic numbers of good people walked out of bad relationships. And any ones that didn't leave by 2024 got a big cosmic kick in the butt and are moving forward. So whether it was toxic or you were shutting up and you had to leave, because toxic love teaches war, and just shutting up teaches Cold War, and Spirit is phenomenally concerned about another massive world war. So the only hope for humanity is soulmates, because they're going to teach peace, love, and joy. So if you need to get out of a bad relationship, this will help you. But this is also about all relationships, family, work,
Hmm.
you know, not just love relationships. But Tina, you like the part about the 4 kinds of people. Why'd you like that part?
I liked it because you simplified the 4 categories that I think encompasses human
The
beings
world.
very well. And the good to a fault people, I'll just list them, then we could elaborate. The narcissists, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and the enlightened ones. And I thought that was just really telling because when I just saw those 4, I'm like, wow, she broke it down to only 4 categories. How so? And then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then when you described it more and elaborated, I thought it hit home.
And the narcissistic ones, the term the Spirit gave me was unfixables.
Mm. Yes.
That may sound like a harsh term, but brain chemistry is very solid at 25. And if people are still very manipulative, which means they push our guilt buttons, because good people have a lot of guilt and bad people have no guilt whatsoever. and they lie and they tell half truths and forget to tell us important pieces of information. So they manipulate. They're highly judgmental people, and they're never accountable for their own behaviors. Those three traits, and if you throw in addictions, which they often have, and in this culture, there's a lot of hidden addictions, you got an unfixable. Okay. Now, it's not impossible. They could change if they earned a miracle. I have lived a long time. I've yet to see an unfixable get better with time. I've only seen them get worse
Wow.
and worse. I don't care what your mommy did and your daddy did and what happened to you in your life. I really don't care. Okay. I care how I am now. Live in the present moment. Highest frequency is to live in the now. If I'm being nice to you now, I don't need to have all your abuse from your childhood spewed on me.
Yeah.
And the unfixables make this life horrible. They are the bad empaths. Okay, I'll take a value system out of that. They are the negative empaths that get up in the morning and think, whose balls am I going to bust and whose day am I going to ruin? And they start with in the morning and they work their way right up through midnight. Okay.
Which is a horrible way to live. I don't know how people can do that.
But we've all experienced them.
Yeah.
They want to get in our head, energetic bullies, and make us crazy. So we are giving them that power. So from now on, the simplest thing to do is 5 minutes of inner soul searching. Did I do something? Did I say something to deserve that? If no, you just push them right out of your head because they will make your life hell. The Dr. Jekyll's, Mr. Hydes are the most people. They're 4 out of 10. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're not so good. And those are the people that you could bully and bullshit and brainwash and blackmail, and they'll join the bad side. Okay. They're very easy to join a bad side. The good to a fault people are the people that, I was definitely a good to a fault person when I was younger. I was a great crap taker, a great enabler.
Me too.
People screwed up and I cleaned it up. Until Spirit said to me, Cindi, we're going to yank you up. You keep doing this because nobody's learning anything while you're on this planet. Leave them where they fall. Stop being a martyr. Stop carrying their crosses and cleaning up their mess. We are the people pleasers when everybody like us and the peacemakers, loyal to a fault people, donkey people. All we do is work, so we have money to bail them out. Okay.
Yeah.
But those traits do not serve us well. Okay. We have to come to self-love. The cure for that is love yourself the way you would love your own child or the way you love your best friend. You don't let people crap on your best friend. But the unfixables make life hell. God wants us to be a good person who sees the enlightened ones, who see the good, bad, and ugly. We don't see the world with rose-colored glasses like the good to a fault people. Don't see it with a self-serving lens like the unfixables and the Dr. Jekyll's, Mr. Hydes. We see reality, and that's only 10% of the world population actually sees reality, actually sees what's going on. And when you see what's going on, you learn to detach from it. You learn to observe these people like they're a bad movie, detach from it. It's not about you. We have to stop taking these people personally.
I love when you say it's not our job to fix people.
Oh, yeah.
That was very impactful for me too. And I love when you said it's God wants us just to fix ourselves. That's
Right.
That's our obligation. That's our responsibility. And by each person, if everyone would do that, then the world at large would be a better place because it goes by an individual journey and growth. And then, like you said, it just builds from that.
And it's not our job to fix people. And that is probably the hardest lesson that I had to learn. And I would say out of 99% of my clients, learning they can't fix people is why they come for readings. Because there's somebody they're still trying to fix. And it's just not working. And it's making them sick. It's draining them. Remember, this is the year of energy.
Yes.
These kind of people drain your energy. It's a waste of your energy.
You could feel it. If you're aware of it, you could feel it because I noticed a difference too. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, stay away from that person as much as possible.
Away. Stay away. And you'll also like the part about divine anger. That is actually my favorite part in the book.
Yeah, and I think I had texted you when I was reading the book initially, and I was like, Cindi, I love this part. And you're like, me too. I love it. Oh, it's eye-opening. And
Uh-huh.
I've used this in my daily life. I could tell you with loved ones, family members, friends. Righteous anger,
Mhm.
like you said, rational anger, not flying off the handle and going crazy. And like I said, it's love based. I love when you say divine anger is love based, mortal anger is fear based.
Fear-based.
Mhm.
Mortal anger is throwing grenades. It's
Yeah.
war.
And it's
Whereas divine anger, and I use the example of Mahatma Gandhi, he was divine anger.
Mhm.
yes, he
Hitler
embodied
walked the earth the same time as Gandhi. I find that so hard to believe.
it. Mhm.
But Hitler was mortal anger.
Yes.
Throw grenades, kill people,
Yeah.
kill your enemy, kill people that don't think the same way you do. Righteous anger is fact based.
Mhm.
It's saying, I love you, but you're doing A, B, C, D. And that's why this isn't acceptable.
Yeah.
It's speaking the truth with kindness, not screaming, not yelling. And interesting enough, what Spirit told me a long time ago is when we're screaming and yelling, Spirit can't hear that vibration.
Nope.
Yes, that
They
I.
hear the sound of laughter, they hear the
Oh,
sound of talking. But when you're screaming and yelling like a lunatic, you get no help from Spirit. They just walk out, they're
Mhm.
just gone. It's not the right way to do it. And you also feel guilty and bad because you should have handled it better.
Mhm.
So it's learning how to say what we mean what we
Mhm.
say, and don't be mean about it.
that's
Yep.
another great
Okay.
quote of yours, Cindy. I love that.
Right. Because we have never learned, the highest evolution of a human being is kindness.
Yep.
Notice in this world, there's a mean streak, which is troubling. It's troubling to me. People have gotten, not that they're meaner than they ever were. They just don't even pretend not to be mean, and they just blab it all over the place to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people used to be a little more polite with it.
I think that has to do with the time that we're living in, though.
Right.
I don't think necessarily that people are more mean than they were 25
No,
years
they're not.
ago. I think that it's easier for people to be mean because you do no longer have to develop, deep relationships with people. A lot of relationships that are developed now are very, very superficial. And most of the young people, at least, they're what I always call keyboard warriors. They do everything through screens. It's very, very easy to text somebody something mean versus look in somebody's face and say something mean.
Yes.
You will feel badly if you look at somebody's face and you look at the hurt. But if you just send words, they're just words, and it's almost like those mean feelings are somewhat diluted to the person that's saying them. So I think that's definitely a product of the time that we're living in. Why Good People Can't Leave Bad Relationships books. I know that my two favorite parts of it are obviously the divine anger part, because we know that I had a lot of anger when I first met you.
Consensus.
Um,
Oh,
but it's
no,
also,
Nicole, not too
yeah,
much.
just a little bit, a little bit. But also it was, a lot, and I don't even know if it falls under the, good to a fault people, or where it actually falls, but having the power of boundaries,
Right.
and also I think for me, especially with my family situation, and again, the way that I was raised, because I was raised by two people who suffered incredible abuse. And my grandmother, who is partially responsible for my rearing, she just violence was done unto her, and therefore she was violent, to her children. My mother went in the other direction, but unbeknownst to her, she also became very, very emotionally abusive, and she was completely unaware of the fact that what she was doing was emotional abuse. So another part of what I learned from Cindy through this book was also the fact that not everybody deserves unlimited grace.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's something that I've always had, where it's like, yes, but it's my mother. I can do it to anybody else, but that's my mom. I have to deal with it because it's my mother.
Mm.
And I think that one day, and I don't know if she was quoting the book or not, because
Mm.
it's been a while, it's been a minute since I read it,
Mm.
but not everybody deserves unlimited grace, and that includes our parents and our families, because people will take advantage of that kindness. And, recognizing when to walk away.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, you can't just walk away from certain relationships entirely.
Mm.
I mean, you can, but if you don't want to walk away from them
Right.
from them entirely, you can walk away from toxic incidents,
Yes.
and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can return, and you can reset
Yes.
and say, "Hey, listen, this is not acceptable." This is not acceptable behavior. This is not acceptable speech, you know, and
Exactly.
things like that. So and I don't know if that's a good to a fault portion or where it lies within the book, but you know, I think that just not everybody deserves unlimited grace.
And that was in the
One of my
part
bigger
about
things.
forgiveness. And we're going to talk
Yep.
about forgiveness. That was one of my favorite parts
Mhm.
because forgiveness, you know, when Jesus walked the earth had a different meaning. It meant to untie,
Mhm.
Mhm.
untie victim consciousness, set yourself free.
Yes.
And it meant forgiving people, but not their actions.
Yep.
Some actions are unforgivable,
Yes.
but a person would have to earn the steps of forgiveness, which
Mhm.
means they recognize wrongdoing. They don't do
Yep.
it again. They make amends to us. They go to therapy. If we
Yep.
think they're going to hurt us again, forgiving a person does not mean reconciling with them. We have a right to cut them out, to walk away from them. Enough
Mhm.
is enough. Okay. And it's a hardest thing for people to do is to walk away from family members because we've really never done it in past lives.
Yeah.
Mm.
We tended to just keep them abusing us over and over again.
Yeah.
But it will kill you to stay near toxic people.
Yes.
yeah.
I'm going to say this
Absolutely.
1,000 times in our podcast. Toxic energy
Kills.
is worse than living next to a toxic waste dump.
Wow.
It will cause every illness under the sun, from cancer to a stroke. You'll blow your brains out, break your
Yep.
heart, give you autoimmune disorders as you beat yourself up for tolerating it. So we do not have to stay with people whose toxic energy is deadly.
I love that with the forgiveness, it's not so much about concerning the other person, it's for you, for your own peace,
Yes,
to have peace in
exactly.
your heart and your soul. And if you approach it from that angle, I think it's just very mind opening, because people don't think of it that way. Oh, I have to forgive
Right.
for this and that. And then also that comes in, you also put in it's in conjunction with the tenets of loyalty. I love when you say we are only obligated and loyal to ourselves and to God.
Yep.
Right.
End of the day, that's it.
Review, and we're good. I guess we can go to Confessions of Reluctant Long on Psychic if we're going to talk
Yeah.
about life review.
Sounds great.
Okay, that's
Yep.
this book.
Book
Part
the
of our life review is going to name all the times we enabled people that God would wish that we got the hell out of the way. And we didn't even want to do them because they bankrupted us doing it.
Mhm.
2, we're going to see all of the times we thought we forgave people, but we really didn't.
Mhm.
We just stuffed it down to anger. And these are the hard part about a life review, to see the things that we did wrong that we thought were right. Because we're not taught a lot of correct things. We're taught turn the other cheek, but we're not taught what that really means. You know, it doesn't mean you keep turning the other cheek. It means enough is enough at some point. Okay. And our life review becomes harder when good people have to see all the times they were loyal to a fault to people. And you like that in the book, the other book, Why Good People Can't Leave Bad Relationships. Loyalty is a two-way street, by the way. It's
Yes.
not I'm loyal to you and you screw me over. No, loyalty goes two ways. So when we get a life review and it shows we continue to be loyal to someone who cheated on us and stole from us and was abused, God says, "What are you, an idiot? What kind of idiot were you? If they did that to your child, what would you have done? You would have thrown that person in jail. But no, you stayed with that person." So our life review is hard if we are too good, actually. It's because it's going to say, you didn't get any brownie points from God for that behavior.
Yeah.
Not one bit.
And the
And
concept of the life review, I want to say, is very intriguing to me. And how I love when you said that whoever conducts the life review, like, you know, the spirits or angels or whoever's doing it in
right.
charge, that they're very compassionate. So they'll show you,
Oh,
know,
yeah.
what you did wrong, but also what you did right. So it's not, and it's not with judgment. It's just showing you the facts. I love when you said
Right.
it's the facts. It's like
It's the
verbatim
facts
what
of
you
what
did.
you did. And
So
what they'll do is show you 50 good things you did
yeah,
and then one wrong thing.
yeah.
But for good people, it's all the things they thought they did right
I mean,
that drives them crazy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I thought I was supposed to bail my brother out 18,000 times.
no.
And then they'll show you if you didn't bail him out the first time and the second time, he would have learned something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's a really hard thing. So we want to make our life review a little bit easier. And it's, it's a fine line between people calling us selfish. But what we're really doing is having some self-love, finally.
Self-love, yeah.
You also like the ladder of realization, which
I love that term.
Like, right.
I love that term. I love the way you just categorize it. So it gives me I'm a very visual person, so I feel like that really just helped me understand. And I love when you said, once we, pass and we're in spirit, we're at a certain level, and then, while we're in spirit, we can always ascend the ladder. But
right.
but when we do, like you said, when we go to another life, then it's like, our goal is to get as high as we can. And but I just like the way you conceptualized it. I thought that, and you said spirit channeled that to you, right? Just that, like,
Right. The term ladder of realization, spirit gives metaphors and they try to speak very clear. It's not gobbledygooked up at all. Okay. When you read a lot of spiritual books, there's such gobbledygook in there, you don't even know what they're talking about. Really. You're like, what was that? But the ladder of realization, how awake, how aware we were on earth, determines the rung we're going to go to. And, there is a good side and a not so great side. Okay. There's actually a, side you wouldn't want to go. And I've only opened that one or two times. It's sheer chaos in there. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. Nobody follows any rules. They do whatever they want. And the ladder of realization, you only see people you want to see, which is heavenly right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there will also keep opening up new rungs on the ladder of realization. There was ones open for American drug addicts. What are you going to do with kids that get hooked on heroin at 16 in high school that they didn't even know what they were buying? How can you put them in a bad side? How can you put them in a bad rung? You put them in a rung where they're going to see what they could have done differently, and then they're trained how to make other people not make that same mistake, to watch over young people because they have knowledge now. But you couldn't really punish them. How are they responsible for that? No one even knew what that was when it first hit on Long Island 22 years ago. They thought it was like pot. They had no idea that it was a highly addictive drug. So always with time, new rungs are opened. And also, I think she liked the part about soul contracts and karmic lessons. Okay. Karmic lessons are what we're here to learn. And
Yes.
that theme seems to go through all of the books.
We noticed that when
Okay.
reviewing the 3 books. I said this is a reoccurring theme.
A theme, because if we don't learn the karmic lessons from the first round of something, we will get 3, 4, 5 more until we finally realize it's the same lesson. You can't fix people. Most people, that takes 10, 20, 50 rounds of it with 10 or 15 or 20 different people. Okay, that's a hard karmic lesson to learn. You can't fix people. It's so simple to say it, but it's so hard for people to grasp it, actually. And it's a fine line between helping and enabling. Okay, and that's why God said God helps those who help themselves. If someone is helping themselves, they're down on their luck, those are the kind of people you help. You don't keep helping people that keep gambling away all their money. Okay, even though you bailed them out 80,000 times. No, those are the people you leave them where they fall, in jail, somebody breaking their kneecaps, whatever is going to be their karma at that. We can't stop people's karmic reactions and actions. The law of karma, action, reaction. And if we keep interfering with the laws of karma, they do a bad action and we clean it up, then that's when bad things happen to good people. God will say, now I have to disempower you. I have to take all your money from you. I'm going to nuke your house in a hurricane. Now you have no money to help those people. Now ask them to help you. You know what they're going to say? Sorry, no can do. Oh, see you when you're back up on top. Bye. Okay. If you don't want bad things to happen to good people, and anyone who's listening to this, if you feel like things keep happening wrong, examine who you're helping that you should not be helping.
Yeah.
And when you get that message, because Spirit says it to me quite frequently, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have Spirit say, you're going to help that person again, Cindi? Really?
Oh.
We don't know what we're going to do with you. Maybe we'll yank you up because you're chinging up negative karma with that one.
Don't even say such things.
That's what I say. So think about it.
And you're an enlightened one, Cindi. So for Spirit to tell you,
now they'll be like, oh, I get double whammy of it. I know better.
Somebody's got to put her in her place.
I know better. I know better than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Much better than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because with everything we learn, we're still going to sometimes stumble back. We're still going to go to those behaviors. And we don't always see what we're doing right away. But all of a sudden, you're starting to get this feeling something's not kosher here. I'm getting anxiety. It's because you're not supposed to do it. And if we keep giving our energy away to everyone, we don't have enough left for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to do what we need to do for us. So it's really a hard lesson to learn to say no. It was a very hard one for me, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Still a hard one.
I can relate too.
Now, you also like the part about the other side sending signs. Now, have you gotten any signs from your mom?
Oh, I get so many signs from her. It's so beautiful. I get so many. She loves sending well, I know cardinals, that's more, but she loved blue jays. And when my
Oh,
mom
wow.
passed, I literally saw like a couple times a week blue jays, like just outside my house, just like perched and looking.
Wow.
Butterflies. We had discussed that. I've been reflecting too. I remember talking to my mom, and I said when she was sick, and I said, "Can you send me signs when you go?" And she goes, "I'll send you butterflies. If you see a butterfly, that's me sending a sign." So we had that discussion, but we didn't talk about the Blue Jays. I just knew she loved the Blue Jays. Music, she loves coming through with music, songs that she loves. I'll just even be grocery shopping and not listening to the music, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, she loves this song." Or I'm at a party, a family event, family occasion. So
Oh,
such beauty. And then dreams. I dream of my mom often. Once I understood about astral projection and communing with that soul plane. So that happens
that's
frequently.
astral traveling. Your soul actually leaves your body,
Yes.
goes to a mutual plane
Mm.
where they are. We don't go in their plane.
Yes.
And it's actually a virtual reality. So sometimes they make it look like nothing. Sometimes they'll make it look like your childhood home. Sometimes they'll make it look like an ocean. They can
Yeah.
make it look like whatever they want it to look like.
Mhm.
They don't say that much because it's all telepathy, but they
That's
hug us,
That's
right?
fascinating you mentioned this, Cindy. I want to talk to you about this because, yes, in the beginning, because I had this with my grandparents too, because I was very close to them as well. In the dream, I usually would just hug them, embrace,
Right.
we say a couple words. But now I've noticed that my mom and I will have conversations. We will. I
Mm-hmm.
won't always
That's
remember when I wake up, but and we will talk about things. And
That's
sometimes when I
awesome.
first wake up, and they'll try to say, "Oh, try to remember, try to remember." But we do have actual like full sentences, like
absolutely.
dialogue now, and it's really beautiful. So
That's also because in 2024,
Mm,
the
mm,
gift of telepathy
mhm.
from 5D was given to everyone. We're all telepathic. Even when I was on the airplane coming from Cancun, I was starving. And they give you these little
Yes,
energy bars, okay?
I
Tiny
know.
ones. And I telepathically said, I want two. And she
Oh.
gave me two. And I didn't ask her. She gave me two. And the person next to me go, how come you got two? Because I asked. You know what?
That's great.
So it's because good people don't like to ask for things.
Mhm,
They're not comfortable.
mhm.
So telepathically asking for what you need, all of a sudden people are giving it to you. And you're like, wow, that was great. So so the dreams, I'm not surprised that now, but you will start to remember. We all astral travel.
Mhm,
We all go to spirit. We see our spirit guides in our dreams. They give us a lot of messages. We don't always remember them,
mhm,
but they do deliver tremendous messages in the dream plane. When you start having thoughts in your head that are troubling you and that are
Mm-hmm.
irritating to you and that are draining you and causing anxiety, push them out of your mind. Go read a book,
Yep.
put
Go to
something else
something
in your
else.
mind, watch a funny TV show,
mhm,
but
Yep.
don't let those draining thoughts.
mhm,
They just drain you and suck you dry. And a lot of it is what you're saying. Imposter syndrome is a huge syndrome because it's a doubting disorder in general.
mhm,
So it's not just about our career. It's about any choice we're making and any decision. Is it the right one? It's a second
Mm-hmm.
guessing of everything and not having the confidence that what you're doing is correct. Okay. So
Yep.
that is why we're going to work on that now. Work on mastering our minds. Okay. Now, with meditation, that's the part of the point. You're supposed to push thoughts out of your mind. That never works for me. Okay. I could do a guided meditation, but I can't just lay there because my thoughts will go crazy. That does not work for me.
You're
Okay.
similar because I've tried to meditate and I can't, Cindy. I can't.
No, my mind just starts racing worse than ever. But I'm doing it in my waking life.
Yes.
When I'm having a thought, I'm like, why am I thinking about that? Because we're going to have to live in the highest frequency, which is now. The past is a draining and negative energy. The future does not exist. It has zero frequency. So we're in a zero frequency or a negative frequency. The only positive frequency is now.
Yeah.
And we've been saying this in our podcast, 95% of our days, everything's okay, really. But there's really nothing bad most days. Okay, if you look at your life, most days go uneventful. But in our minds, we make 95% of our days awful.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to stop. If everything is good now, we're in a good place, we're doing what we're supposed to do, be at peace, and don't overthink crazy negative thoughts because our minds drain us. They are really draining. And so I think we're just about at the end of our show, by the way.
We are.
So fast.
I know.
And we went through a lot of topics.
Yes.
And, again, a lot of the book, why I wrote all 3 books is because Spirit told me we gave you a lot of knowledge in 30 years that if you die, that's all lost. Parts of it will exist in your clients. They'll be passing it on. But they wanted me to document it. And it's something that all of us have to document, including Nicole, what you just read, including, Tina Marie and what she's learning. Our perspective is unique.
Yeah.
And so what we learn has to be documented. So through art, through your creative, whatever method we're going to do. But it's all meant to help us all live a more peaceful and joyful and love-filled life. Okay, which is what we're striving for.
Yep.
And Tina, thank you for sharing your story with us. And Nicole, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was such a pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you.
And
you were lovely, Tina.
I know, isn't she the best?
So nice to meet you, finally.
And see, I needed her because I wouldn't even know how to where to start it to put the information together.
Kind. I did my homework.
So, all right. So we are at the end of our show, guys. And thank you very much again, Tina Marie. And thank you, Cindy. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody. And we'll see each other all soon. Bye.
Bye.